Good morning and welcome to Rising. Happy Monday. We've got another great show for you today. I am joined by Michael Starr Hopkins, my old friend. We used to do Fox News together, political panels back in the day, pre-COVID days. That was fun.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we spent a lot of time doing Kennedy together.
Yes, that was super fun. So I'm really excited to have you in the chair to discuss the show today. And our first story is the campaign trail very much heating up, less than 5 months out from the November election, less than 2 weeks from the presidential debate. New polling reveals that if every person in the country turned out to vote, Donald Trump, not President Biden, would in fact have the upper hand. This New York Times piece published over the weekend breaks down how Biden maintains his lead over Trump among regular primary and midterm voters, but not when it comes to the rest of the electorate. That's according to the New York Times Siena College polls conducted over the past year. Trump leading among registered voters overall.
The New York Times deep dive shows that reliable voters go for Biden. Based on the 2022 midterms, 49% of voters who showed out in the midterms supported Biden, while 44% supported Trump. But Trump tops Biden among voters whose last vote was the 2020 election. The less is more seems to be true in politics, too. At least this year. According to the analysis of polls, those who vote less tend to vote Republican. A closer look at the numbers show Trump leading Biden among voters who did vote in 2020. Or the 2022 midterms, by 14 percentage points. The collection of polls uncovers that disengaged voters might not like Trump, but disenchantment with Biden over pocketbook issues and fundamental changes to the political system are causing them to flock to Biden's predecessor. Overall, voters are much less concerned about democracy as an issue in the election.
Yes, that is coming out loud and clear. So interestingly enough, Trump, his higher turnout in some ways would benefit Trump.
Yeah.
It is very reliable partisan voters who are turning out for Biden. Maybe that explains why he had such a favorable midterm result when this red wave was anticipated at a time where he had low approval ratings. Mm-hmm. Now they're even lower. The economy was not great. It's continued inflation to be stubbornly high. So, if you're looking at all of this, if you're looking at Trump leading on so many of the fundamental issues in the election, the economy, immigration, basically everything but abortion. You have Trump ahead somewhat narrowly, but ahead in most, if not all, of the swing states, depending on which polls you're looking at. It starts to paint a picture that is just not good for Joe Biden, right?
Yeah, look, Democrats are worried for good reason. When you look at the polls, you should expect Democrats to be up by a lot, but instead we're either down in swing states or right in that margin of error. And that's got to be terrifying for a campaign that is running against someone who's so gaffe prone.
Well, yeah, I think the thinking is that Biden is just as gaffe prone, or maybe gaffe is not the right
not as undisciplined
terminology, but him losing his train of thought when he's talking. Americans see his advanced age. Even a majority of Democrats think that is something approaching a deal breaker, but he's going to have to get through 4 more years in office. He's not polling well, even among people who otherwise prefer Democratic policies. But now, is the administration aware of that? Because then when you hear Democratic strategists, and you have more experience in this space, so I'm curious for your take. They seem, to my mind, in denial about how bad he's doing. Or maybe they know something I don't, but I don't know what that thing is.
Behind closed doors, when you talk to Democrats, there's a frustration because a lot of Democrats don't think the president should have run again. He had a first term where he said he was going to be the bridge. A lot of Democrats didn't really vote for him. They voted anti-Trump. Mm-hmm. And so now you're seeing Democrats' frustration in that, yes, he had a good first term. He managed to bring down unemployment. Inflation is now at zero net. Why is he still running again is the question behind the scenes. No Democrat wants to be the one who, if he loses, is, I wrote that column in the Daily Beast that said he shouldn't have run, and I got a lot of criticism. And so now I think there's a fear.
But he shouldn't have run for re-election.
They shouldn't have run for re-election. And so now I think you're seeing that fear among Democrats where it's, what do we do? There is no other option. And we're in a situation where, once again, I think we're going to have to hold our nose and vote again. And that's terrifying.
There was also a middle option between him running for re-election and it just being a total coronation, and him not running, they could have done an actual primary process. They could have had debates between him and other people who I forget the name of the gentleman who was running against him.
Phillips, Dean Phillips.
Dean Phillips, that's right.
Right, very forgettable.
Unfortunately, yes, but they could have done debates with Dean. I mean, RFK Jr. was in the Democratic primary process at one point.
But we all knew RFK wasn't really a. I mean, he's a spoil. Like, RFK's a spoil. He doesn't really believe that he can win. He's taking a lot of donor money from Republican donors. There's a reason why.
Well, then he's spoiling Trump's chances, not.
I think he's just being a spoil in general. I think just like we saw third party run, the Jill Stein runs, just like we saw Mr. Seatbelt back in
Nader.
Yeah, Nader. There we go. Back in the day, none of these guys intend to win. They want to make a statement. I think they want to put more pressure on more Democrat than Republican for certain policy initiatives. This isn't a policy.
What's so wrong with that?
Because this isn't a policy election. We all know this is a turnout election.
Whether or not they say that every time.
Yeah, but this is, I think,
it's always the most important election of our lifetimes. It's always, if you don't vote for the lesser of two evils, the fate of the country is on you. Do people believe that? They say that every time. I think uniquely. Every single time. Yeah, but look at the
Project 2025. Trump is a unique candidate. I know we say it all the time. We say Bush is the most dangerous person. Romney is the most dangerous.
Project 2025. He just wants to fire all the federal bureaucrats. That's what's so alarming about Donald Trump. Oh my God! Stop selling me. Now I want to vote for him.
But if you look at 2025, that's not the thing. It's rounding up millions of undocumented immigrants and putting them into tents in the middle of the country figuring out a way
they're doing that. Biden wants to do that even harder. He just announced a.
In what world do you see? I mean, he wants to close the border, which is something I think Democrats have been weak on. It's something that Americans are afraid of. And to be honest, as a Democrat, my biggest fear politically is that someone coming across the border does some sort of terrorist attack. And that's the ball game for Democrats. If Americans don't feel safe, if something happens under a Democratic administration while the border was unsecure, even though it was unsecure under previous presidents, it's on Biden. And that's something that should really terrify and keep not just the administration, but down-ticket Democrats awake every night.
Yeah, I agree with that. The politics of immigration have swung so far in Republicans' favor, and that issue shows up in terms of the polling. Biden clearly knows that. Yeah. That's why he made this recent declaration to give Republicans a lot of what they want. The deal was going to give Republicans a lot of what they want. They, of course, rejected it as not going far enough.
Which is interesting.
We're not going to give the Democrats a win right before the election. No.
But it also puts Republicans on the hook. If something is to happen, there's going to be a back and forth between Democrats and Republicans over who is responsible, much in the way that we had after 9/11. And I worry that Republicans have monopolized the immigration argument very much in the way that Democrats have really taken abortion and made it their fixture issue. Abortion is something that's going to resonate across the country, especially in terms of women, but national security and safety is going to resonate across the board in every demographic.
Well, and the truth is that both parties are at fault because in order to fix the immigration problems we have, we need to change the process so that more people can come here legally, apply to work, become part of American society. But right now we have that back, it's broken, so you have people flooding across the border under unsafe conditions, making border towns less, more crime-ridden and just kind of cleanliness issues that are unsightly and that are a problem for people who live in those communities. And then the asylum process being absolutely mugged by people who are not
people are taking
meant
advantage
to be
of
doing
it.
That because it's the easiest way to do it. So we need to fix the legal system, and Congress has to come together to do that. Frankly, that's not the president's problem. Congress needs to do something.
And there's no appetite to really get it done because, and this is where I compare it to abortion. Republicans used abortion for decades as a cudgel to divide and to win elections. Then they caught their tail. When Dobbs' decision came out, abortion was no longer an issue they could run on. Immigration is the same thing. Trump saw that if that Thune bill had been passed, that immigration wasn't an issue they were going to be able to run on in the same way. And it's going to take someone with a little political courage or an incident that occurs for them to secure the border. There's no political will to get it done. It's only going to get done in the wake of something horrible happening.
Well, I hope it does not come to that. We'll be back with more Rising right after this. Stay tuned.